What's up, gamers? Welcome back to another episode of Video Game Gems. I'm Ginge the Ripper. Let's play a game.
I hate sequels. Any franchise with less than 3 titles is a sin against consoles. See?
The Third Birthday was an exclusive title for the PlayStation Portable. At the time, not many people who played the game knew it was a continuation of a series called Parasite Eve. The PSP released in 2005, a year before Sony's next home console, the PS3. Parasite Eve hadn't been touched since its sequel on the PS1 6 years prior. Die-hard fans of the series who've played all 3 games have told me that The Third Birthday doesn't live up to Parasite Eve's standards, yet isn't necessarily a bad game. It's like buying the Thousand Year Door after playing Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. The game isn't bad, but it's a completely different experience. And that's how The Third Birthday made its way to Video Game Gems. I played this game as a kid and I loved it. Not only was it graphically pleasing on the PSP, but as a shooter, The Third Birthday was a unique and fun experience on the genre. Since I haven't played Parasite Eve 1 or 2 yet, I can look at this game with a fresh pair of eyes and give it an unbiased opinion. On Video Game Gems, I don't want to know how well a game holds up with the rest of its series. I want to know if The Third Birthday, on its own, is a gem. It's Christmas 2012 in the busy city of New York, as everyone is making their preparations for the holidays. However, this peacefulness doesn't last long as a swarm of bioorganic organisms emerge from underground, bringing death and destruction with them. These organisms are dubbed the Twisted for their obscure appearance.
They're all over me.
The Twisted were initially thought to be an act of terrorism through biological weaponry. America had dealt with them once before as they ravaged the entire state of New York 2 years prior. The army thought they had soundly defeated the Twisted once sightings had died down. However, this could not be further from the truth. The Twisted made their way underground, biding their time until they could re-emerge stronger than before, bringing with them the Babel, a giant tower with unknown capabilities. Eventually, the government had no choice but to acknowledge the existence of the Twisted as living cognitive organisms and formed the CTI, or Counter-Twisted Investigations Team. Around the same time the Twisted started appearing, our protagonist Aya Brea was found unconscious on the street in a bloody wedding dress. She is rescued by a man named Hyde Bohr who would become the chief of the CTI. When Aya comes to, she realizes she has amnesia.
Great.
For unknown reasons, Aya has a unique ability that allows her consciousness to leave her body. This technique would later be known as Overdrive and become the CTI's secret weapon against the Twisted. The CTI learns that Overdrive has time travel capabilities and builds a machine to harness the ability. Aya's consciousness is sent back in time to previous battles with the hope that she can change the outcome of the war against the Twisted. The first 2 Parasite Eve games were RPGs. No surprise considering the team behind them. However, The Third Birthday is more in line with typical modern-day shooters while still retaining some RPG mechanics. Overdrive allows Aya to take control of soldiers in the heat of battle. If a soldier is low on health, has an insufficient weapon, or is at a disadvantage, Aya can swap to another soldier better equipped to handle the situation. Neat! Wait, how do I change back? You slowly unlock more weapons for Aya as she levels up, and by finding them in battle. She carries 4 guns at a time. 3 of the weapons belong to Aya, which she carries on her physical being. Aya's guns level up the more they are used, unlocking various customizations. Her 4th gun belongs to the person she has overdived into. These guns can't be customized, and will constantly be swapped out during missions. Aya can command the soldiers to focus on a single target, dwindling its health down quickly. However, soldiers who are not taking cover won't participate. Overdrive has multiple uses rather than just possessing someone. Aya can overdive into an enemy when its guard is down, causing massive damage. Aya has another ability called Liberation, that increases her speed and power for a short period of time. After Liberation is over, Aya is left in a state of disorientation for a few seconds before the player can regain control of her. Aya has various unlockable outfits that act as her armor, ranging in quality from C to A. The more damage Aya takes, the more her outfits tear and the less protection they provide. Aya's clothing can be mended at different resting points throughout the game.
Hey! Fix these!
The Third Birthday is a pretty short game. There are a total of 6 chapters that can take anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half to beat. To give players more playtime and the game replayability, cheat codes were added that can be unlocked by completing various tasks and challenges in the game. There are 2 types of cheat codes. The first are assist codes that hack the game with buffs such as infinite ammo and faster health regeneration, and the second are challenge codes designed to make the game harder, like friendly fire, no leveling up, and one-hit KO. Play the game for yourself if you want to unlock and experience them all. One of the things that the third birthday does pretty well is its attention to detail. All of the soldiers have different names and their own personalities. Throughout missions, you'll find various resting points to restock your weapons, repair your armor, and save. At these resting points, the soldiers will converse with each other about their personal lives. Near the end of the game, the government ultimately decides their efforts against the Babel are useless and step down from the fight, allowing the Twisted to take control of New York City, which leads to one of my favorite scenes in the game.
No one's commanding the troops at this point. Each unit is acting on its own. All of this to protect New York.
And whenever Aya completes a mission, you have the option to go back and look at the data logs and see how Aya's performance has affected the future. The changes are colored in red, making the files easier to sift through. With all this game has to offer, surely it's a gem, right? Unfortunately, no. There are 2 components a game has to have in order to even be considered good. The game must have enjoyable gameplay that drives players to want to play, and a worthwhile objective giving players a reason to keep on playing. While the third birthday has both of these things, its poor execution of the story keeps it from being a gem. The cutscenes give you the bare minimum of information you need to actually understand the story. In order to dive deeper into the details, you have to read through the data files, which isn't a fun way to experience the narrative. The data logs would make sense as a refresher for someone who hasn't played in a while, but relying on them to understand the full extent of the story comes off as lazy, and even after reading through and analyzing all of the data, by the end of the game, we're still left with unanswered questions. It's not just the narrative that suffers from poor execution, but the characters as well. In Chapter 1, Aya has a flashback to the death of her friend Gabriella, stating,
I'm sorry. This is all my fault.
At the beginning of Chapter 2, Aya learns that her meddling with the past has brought Gabriella back to life, just to have her die again at the end of the chapter. We never know how she died the first time, and we don't get to spend enough time with her to establish a connection to the character, which is such a shame considering how fun and sassy her personality is.
Aya, I know you like what you see, but I'm taken.
The same can be said for most of the other characters you meet in this game. From what little knowledge I know about the other 2 games, the only returning characters are the ones that aren't part of the CTI other than Aya. So we're left with an entire cast of lovable characters with their own set of baggage that is never fully explained. If you talk to Blank before you start the mission in Chapter 3, he says,
I know I said something hurtful to Cray, but if we can change the past, I think he'll understand.
The game never elaborates on this, which is weird because this plays an important role at the end of the chapter, which leaves players feeling underwhelmed. The director of the CTI shows his face for the first time at the beginning of Chapter 2. He doesn't believe that the past can actually be changed. He thinks that the money invested into the CTI would be better spent on soldiers and weaponry, or so he would like us to believe. Yet he uses the power of time travel to sabotage your team. This leads the player to believe that the director may be the main villain of the game, or at least play a big role in what's going on, but at the end of the chapter he is never seen again. The game feels unfinished, like the team behind the third birthday wanted to tell a bigger story, but for one reason or another had to cut back. However, the third birthday is still an outstanding game. It has a deep story, unique gameplay, amazing visuals and music, and other small details that help the game shine. I recommend checking this game out if you're a fan of Parasite Eve, strategy or shooter games, or dark stories. I promise you'll have a good time. Before we end the video, I've got a couple of fun facts about the Parasite Eve series as a whole. Parasite Eve started as a novel written by Hideki Sina, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, in 1995. Parasite Eve the game is a direct sequel to the novel and briefly recounts the story with a few changes that allow the game to happen. A Parasite Eve movie and manga were also created, though I don't know whether they follow the novel or the game. Finally, an alternative rock song titled Parasite Eve was created by the band Bring Me the Horizon that was inspired by the game. I'll leave a link in the description to the music video for anyone who wants to check it out. Alright, that's it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and keep on gaming.
Ready?